Hello and welcome. In this video I'll be going through the recent updates to the Infinite Joinery tool. The first major modification that we've made is we've moved the 2D and 3D representation to the model view option controls. So if I go into the model view option controls, we have the CAD Swift Infinite Libraries Component Catalogs tab. This is where you can control the level of detail of your CAD Swift libraries. You also can control the data connection for your catalogs for Infinite Openings and the other components that have the other tools that have the component catalog function. This function will soon be added to Infinite Joinery. For now, we want to deal with the detail. So in the detail, we have 5 levels. We have simple, coarse, medium, fine, and penetration. These are the global controls. For the individual components, we have simple, coarse, medium, fine, and off, as penetration typically means off for most components. We have controls here for infinite openings, the plumbing fixtures, the infinite sinks and infinite basins, and this is the controls for the infinite joinery which we're working with now. So I'll start in the 2D and we'll start down at the simple end. So as you can see up here, the way this works is these are the global controls. If I turn this to custom, then I can come down here and I can position the individual components at different levels of detail. We'll work with the global controls for now. So simple, click OK. You can see our door panels are simple lines and the carcass is also a single line, and this element, which is a drawer, we're calling one of the functions, that is also simple lines. We can get even simpler than simple just by turning some of these elements off. So if we go back into our model view options and we set this to custom, we could just leave our carcass at simple and turn our panels and our functions off. And then we've got a very simple representation. Back into the model view options, we'll have a look at coarse. Okay, in coarse, you have the panels come up with their thickness, and you have a little bit more detail in this function element, which has these sort of skins in here of laminate. And it's just got a bit more of a detailed symbol. The next setting is medium. So I'll click on medium, click OK. In medium, we start to see the thickness of the carcass and the fill that we've nominated within the object for that carcass. And then we see some more detail in the door panels, including the glass element or the panel element in between the styles. We also see our partitions and our pillars. Okay, if we go into the final one, which is detail, now there is basically no difference between the fine and the medium. I'll just go back there, I called that detail. It's not detail, it's fine. So between medium and fine, there is absolutely no difference except for when you're using complex profiles in your door panel styles and rails and that sort of thing. When you use a complex profile, that profile will show up in high detail in the fine selection, but in the medium option, it'll show up like this as a rectangular extrusion. Okay, that's 2D. Let's have a look at 3D. Okay, so let's have a look. Model view options. We're on the detailed and medium options, as I said before, are basically identical unless you're using complex profiles in the styles of your door panels, and profiles for the edge of the bench. Okay, so the next setting is coarse. Click OK. You see the door panels use all their detail. They retain their thickness and size, but they lose all their detail. The whole joinery element also becomes a solid mass. I'll show that. If I go down to simple, that bench top is supposed to be disappearing. Okay, there we go, the bench top disappears, and you can see that the element is a solid mass. It was a solid mass before as well, with the kick. Now it is a solid mass without the kick. These are some leftover panels for my dishwasher recess that I need to remove from this display. You can also see the door panels in this are actually no longer a solid element, they're a single pane. So that means that is one polygon. A plane, regardless of the number of edges, is still just a single polygon. whereas a prism, rectangular prism, would be 6 polygons. So that's just keeping the polygon count down as low as possible. So that's the changes to the model view options for levels of detail control for the Infinite Joinery. There have been a couple other changes, as you sort of saw before with those casters that were on. So I'll just go back to detailed 3D and 2D, and I'll show you this new feature that we have for putting casters on your cabinetry. So there's 2 new features, legs and casters and rails. We'll do legs and casters first. So basically every caster is assigned to a leg. So we turn the legs on, have them show in 2D. At the moment we have a 2x2 grid, so that's basically just setting a leg at each corner with the equal function selected. If we do a 3x3 or 3x2, you can see it throws another leg in the middle, or adds the leg on the end actually. Okay, so we're back to the 2x2. That's what we want for this arrangement. And we've ticked the items that we want casters to show on. So if I'll just leave this as it is because it's set up correctly. I'll show you those casters. Okay, so there's those casters there. They've been offset from the edge as well. So if I just get rid of that offset. Okay, so you can see the casters, that's their origins, and they can be offset in towards the middle of the cabinetry more. These casters are assigned to a post. That little plate there is the post element. Now the height and thickness of that post is determined by this element here. So at the moment we're just using the casters to the base of the cabinetry. So the post is going to the base. Now I've actually set that, that's set in here, in the general sizes. So it's that height there, the height of the kick. So I can turn that kick off and that height still stays the same. Click OK. You can see everything stays the same, the kick just disappears. I'll have to fix up that arrangement. That's, once again, that's the recessor panel coming down at the back, so I'll have to get that to respond to the kick disappearing. So if we change the height of this, we'll put it up, we won't take it down because that's already fairly thick, so we'll just go add 10 mil. You can see that plate changes. So you basically have to work out the height of this element. I've set it to 78 because I actually have a caster of 75. So I want a 3 mil plate. Okay, so that's basically how you get casters, but these can be more than just casters. They can obviously be a post element. So I'm going to put this up to the top. And you can see it can be posts with casters. And then you can turn those casters off as well. Now, if you have a single caster left on, then the posts will stay at that that base height starting point. Once you turn all the casters off, then all the posts go down. I might change that logic a little bit and have each post. Sometimes you want posts that stay up off the ground to make clearance for the other posts that have the casters on them. So I might have to adjust that to allow you to move that up and down. Well, we'll see. Okay, to go with this post element, this was set up basically so that we could do the necessary joinery for hospitals and schools, so just some typical bench tops. So we've added in a rail system that allows you to put in the supports for this element. So I'll just show that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off all the joinery so that you can see just the rails. So I'll go into my okay. So this gives you an idea of the system. You basically can nominate the number of beams in each direction. So in this thick one that you can see here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a 4 by 4. This one up the top here is just a 2 by 2. It looks like that one down the bottom there's a 2 by 2 as well. And you can have different thicknesses and profiles for the external and internal elements. So you can see this is thicker on the outside than it is on the inside. So there's different widths and that for those elements. So if I go to rails, and you can see you've got the edge. So if we go to, these are all at the same height. Let's put this one up here, 900. So these are your different elements. So if I click on that and I change that to a 3x3, the interface is missing a little bit of line work. These lines are supposed to be continuing through here, but I'll fix that up before I send that through. So there's a 3x3. We've got 3 members in each direction, and we can go and we can change the edge can be rectangular or circular. There will be a polygon function in there as well soon, a revolve, inner, rectangular, circular, and I can change the width and depth of each of those elements independently, so they can be fairly different elements. You've got, when you select these elements here, you're choosing the item that you'll be editing. The first height is for the actual height of the element, and the second height is the height difference between the edge elements and the inner elements, so you can actually offset them from each other a little bit. Okay, so that's the 2 new geometric features as well. So we've had the model view option controls for detail, and now we've got legs and casters and rails. Apart from that, we have added in, if I just go back several steps to our original configuration, you can see in the 2D we've added in some hotspots for the different sides of it, the partition, as well as for the center line of the partition. We've also got hotspots on the externals, external panels as well. So just to make the element a little bit easier to dimension. That's basically it for the updates to Infinite Openings. We will be working on some more handles, an actual custom handle feature, and also be making some improvements to the interface next week. Thanks for watching.